You know what's hard about running a handmade business? The things that you love to make aren't typically or aren't always the things that your customers want to buy. And that's a hard pill to swallow. But one of the biggest shifts that helped me grow my business was learning how to stop creating for myself and start paying attention to what my customers actually were responding to. Today, I want to talk about the reality of growing a handmade business, how to track what's working, and why sometimes your best business decision is temporarily putting your favorite projects to the side. If you are new here, my name is Natalie and this is Sparks of Joy Studio. I love offering various tips and tricks for business owners and handmade sellers, especially those who are just beginning. If that is you and that is something that you really want to learn, this is the perfect channel for you. I have a variety of different courses specifically for teaching different types of things for people who want to sell in person at craft fairs, as well as those who might want to sell online. I have two courses that are currently offered on my channel here: Hoard Less, Sell More, and Booth to Browser. And I continue to update each of those two courses on a regular basis. I'm happy to have you here. Let's dive into a little bit more about this topic. As handmade sellers, we are artists first. Creativity is very important to us. So it feels like we have such an emotional attachment to the products that we are making. It's really hard and discouraging when customers don't see the value of them the same way that we do. We want to feel that every project is going to succeed, that everything is going to work, and unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. And that's okay. What we really need to do is use the information that we are collecting and learning at each show that we do, each release that we have maybe, and figuring it out from there what might end up being a way to go instead. Instead of feeling frustrated, the goal here is to really figure out what we can do to make it work. Sometimes the project you spent 30 minutes on sells instantly, while the piece you poured your heart and soul into sits on the shelf for months unsold. This is what we really need to consider in order to move to that next phase in growing a real business. Let me give you an example with something that has recently occurred for me. So, at the beginning of 2026, I really wanted to focus in on a bestseller or my next bestseller. I had already talked about the monogram gift tags that I made, but those I sell for $1 to $2. I knew that that in and of itself wasn't going to be something that I would be able to create a really noteworthy business with just selling those. I really wanted something that leaned in more to what I love to do as a crafter. I started to look at different things that I could make to try to make my next bestseller. My first thought, and what I thought was going to work great based on the feedback I had gotten from my family, was my rings and things dishes. So the little trinket dishes that I made that are specifically for rings or tiny things, I thought would be my next bestseller. I had gotten a lot of positive feedback from the audience that I had shared it with on social media. I had gotten, oh, that's so cute at craft fairs, but honestly, I didn't sell very many. I was feeling very discouraged, and you probably will die when you hear this, but after spending all that time hand painting and crafting each and every one of these, I think it might have been like maybe 15 or 20 of them, I got so frustrated when I got back from one of my craft fairs more recently that I ended up taking them all outside and spray painting them all white with the thought in my head that if they're all white, then they would definitely sell. Well, whatever. They are currently pushed to the side. So now we move towards another project that I literally spent maybe an hour coming up with. I don't even remember how I decided on it. I honestly think what happened was I went in and started organizing all of the stuff in my craft room, found a box of 4x4, 1-inch little wood blocks. And I was like, okay, I need to find something that'll work here. I had created these wood blocks before, called them shelf sitters, back at my craft fairs over the holidays. And I had some funny memes on them that were specific to more Christmas, generational, but like that kind of thing. And they didn't sell. Everybody loved them as far as walking up to my booth, reading them, and then shopping for other things, but nobody actually bought these shelf sitters themselves. So when I wanted to use up those products that I have, because that was a big thing for me this year, I did not want to buy more materials and more product. I am very much trying to use what I already have and finding ways to use it in a marketable way. So I decided to decoupage all of them, because that's another thing I have a lot of. I have a lot of decoupage. And as I was thinking up some of these ideas, I thought, okay, what are some relatable things that I can come up with that'll work? Last spring, I had created spring like memes and quotes that actually did very well, and I had sold 2 boxes of them wholesale on my website after creating a video on YouTube. Well, I was like, let me do something like that, but make it more generic. So I started coming up with funny phrases that myself and my coworkers and my friends, we say to each other all the time when we are frustrated with work or when something's going on. And I started making a list of those, and I moved them into Canva onto a very simple font and just decided to add them on as is onto these wood blocks. I figured I'm going to sell these for maybe $6 or $7 a piece, 2 for 10, and see how they do. Well, those did amazing. They pretty much sold out between my craft fair that I had, my very first craft fair of this season. And then later that night, I set up that pop-up shop that you've probably heard me talk about. And if you want to hear more about that, you can absolutely go to that video. I can leave it linked below or a card above here. But that in and of itself helped launch what ended up becoming my thing. When I realized that I had sold, I can't remember if it was 29 or 33 of them just that weekend, I was like, okay, I have to lean into this more. So I started marketing it across the board. So I was not only selling them more in person, but I was talking about them on my social media. I was showing different clips and different videos of how I make them, but only little bits at a time, talking about specific products that I felt were much more effective in making sure they were durable, because I had previously had issues with things getting ruined on me to and from shows if I didn't sell them. And so I'm really trying to focus in on the quality of what I'm making, but I did not want to forego the efficiency of them. It was something that I learned how to make in bulk. It was something I learned how to create a variety of, and I was really able to lean into what customers wanted. If somebody asked me, oh, do you have anything with birds on it? Do you have anything with butterflies on it? Or whatever, I was able to lean into that because I could easily come up with another paper or design something myself that would lean into what they were looking for. And to be honest with you, the customers that purchased these were more excited about the quotes that were on them because they were relatable. And the other part of it, the artwork part of it, was cute, but it wasn't necessarily something that was the be all end all of why they purchased it. They are easy purchases. They are, a budget friendly, which is seriously important, especially in this economy right now. And it's easy for you to immediately think of somebody who you could buy this thing for. That's what made these desk sitters my bestseller. I really leaned into what my customers were telling me, what I was hearing at craft shows, how people were commenting on social media about them, and I was getting so many questions. I'm sure many of you know that if you follow me on Facebook. I couldn't keep up at some point with all of the questions I was getting about the sizes and what decoupage papers I use. And honestly, it launched into people then purchasing the decoupage papers that I sell on my website, purchasing the digital downloads that I design myself. I was able to lean into other things on my website, which helped launch at sales and increase my profit overall. So I will say that allowing myself to put aside things that I really wanted to make and focus on what I knew was working, and I still enjoyed making them, but it helped me find something that really was of value to others, which ultimately brought them in and drew them in to me and my shop. Now, here's something really important that you need to consider. And time out, I just want to tell you, it is pouring down rain right now and I have skylights above me. So I apologize if that is affecting you. It is my hope that my noise canceling mic is working for me right now. So anyway, let's get back into this. I want to make sure that I explain this. You really want to lean in to products that are doing well. When people are responding to something you make, lean into it more. I think as artists and as creators, we always want to go for the next thing. And we always fear that it's almost going to get too repetitive and too boring for our customers. Well, I'm kind of learning that that's not the case. Do I think that these are going to be the only thing I sell for the rest of my career? No, I don't. And I even was asked that question, is it going to make your business sustainable to only sell this? Like, can you survive off of just this product? And I answered very honestly and said, honestly, no, I don't feel that way. But I do feel that as a beginner, if you find something that's working and you lean into it hard and you focus in on other ways that you can stick to this product but make it a variety in and of itself, that allows you to reach more people. And that's exactly what I did. I created more variety in the colors, the styles. Instead of decoupage, I started using transfers because I had a ton of them in my stash that I wanted to use. And then I started creating new quotes. So I had the initial set of quotes that was for like teachers and moms and coworkers. Then I created a second set. I actually created one that I never really posted or showed everybody, but I created one that was more just for moms. And I put a couple of them on there, but I didn't really focus in on that. Then I created one that I just recently shared, which was specific to artists and creators. And that one really has done very well. It's only been a few days, but I mean, it's been doing great so far. And I think that pairing that with the new IOD release that just came out really kind of allowed two things to kind of work together in a really marketable way for me. So that was successful. So find ways to lean into that. How can you pull together things that you have that you can then use to market not only that specific product, but maybe some other products you also sell? So that's something to lean into, something to think about. Creating that variety. Another thing you can do is expand into collections. And what I ended up doing was I started selling them wholesale. And that's where I went from selling maybe 30 or 40 to selling well over 200. Because now I have people emailing me and ordering on my website in bunches. I think my first bunch, I sold her 24. I did the next couple sets in packs of 30. And then I was like, okay, this is way too much. I got to go in smaller sets. So now I'm doing sets of 12. And I'm selling them at a very affordable cost that if somebody wanted to buy them and then just take them out of the box and stick them on the shelf in their booth or in their storefront and then resell them at a higher cost, it still is the same price point for the customer, but they're making a profit on it without having to sit and do the work that I have no problem doing because I don't have a booth and I don't have a storefront. So for me, it works. So find something that works for you. If you do have a booth and if you do have a storefront, maybe you want to then showcase some of the other products or lines that you have within your shop. If you sell IOD, if you sell Roy Cycle decoupage papers or Connie lines and designs in your booth, then use them, create these simple wood blocks, use the quotes as an example, and some other paints, and make that how you can showcase how easy it would be for somebody to design it themselves. I'm not trying to own the market of these shelf sitters, which I should say now, I actually call them desk sitters now, which it was a marketing decision that I made because the minute that I said desk sitters, people immediately could picture where the person that they were giving it to would put them or where they would put it themselves. That kind of gives people like a chuckle or like a way to kind of relax when you're at work. That was kind of the goal. And I work full time. So being somebody that works full time in education and public education, I feel like if you're like me, we kind of need to like kick back and kind of laugh it off sometimes because sometimes days can be very stressful. As much as I love my job, there's just those days there that happens. And I think is what leaned in so hard to other people who were seeing my work and wanting to purchase them too. If you wanted to do this, it's a great way to showcase how people can do something for themselves. And for those of you that are selling some of those things in your booths, that's a great way to give a beginner a place to start. The goal is to help them feel empowered to do something themselves, and you're giving them the products to do that. I feel like sometimes I watch some of my favorite creators and I see the amazing things that they design and all these things, and I'm like, I'm gonna go do that. And then the minute I get started, it does not come out exactly how I want. I get frustrated, I toss it to the side. I really love the fact that something like this was something that is not only easy to make, but it was easy to replicate and easy for me to create in bulk. Just something to think about. Really lean in to what you feel like you could do specific to the product that will become your bestseller, because my story may not be your story. You might come back here in 3-6 months and tell me, no, Natalie, you will not believe this is what happened and this is how it became my bestseller. In fact, you might even have a story. Comment below if you do and let us know, what was the thing that launched your business? If you have ever had a bestseller, or if you've gone to craft shows and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the one thing that always sells out. Because I promise you, everybody has something different that has become their bestseller. The huge takeaway here: small businesses grow faster when they build momentum around proven products instead of constantly starting over. Just remember that. Take what you know is working and mold it. And it might not be something that you've figured out yet. Find what works for you. And if this is what works for you, great. I hope it does. I hope you are able to take it and spin it in your own way. Here's the really hard part: putting your other projects to the side. This does not mean you have to stop being creative. This does mean you need to be strategic. Like, this is what you're doing now. You're being strategic for the benefit of your business in the long run. Because once you have that success and once you have that kind of consistent profit, then you can do whatever you want. Well, within reason. But it allows you more flexibility to do what you want when you put in that work in the beginning, which may not always be what you want to do, but you know the end goal is what you really are aspiring for. Some products might just not fit your current audience. That doesn't mean it will never fit any audience that comes along in the future. And some ideas might be portfolio projects instead of like the income drivers. So they might be just those one-off pieces that you create and have available to showcase your ability as the artist without necessarily being like something that will always sell for you. Hopefully that makes sense. Comment below if you have any questions about that. I never want you to feel like you're doing something where you don't feel like you're staying true to yourself. It really shouldn't feel that way. But sometimes growing a business means temporarily making less of what feeds your creativity so that later you have the freedom to create more of what you love. That is a very powerful mindset shift. Balancing creativity and business. This is the big one. We have to feel creative because otherwise we're making stuff that we don't have our hearts in, and that probably won't be your bestseller because it's not going to be something you're super excited about or feel passionate about while you're creating it. Within that creative fulfillment, we are creating profitable products. There might be things that are a flop, and that's okay. Can you adjust it? Can you make it relatable? Can you figure out what would be something that might make it a bestseller? Or do we just need to put those to the side for right now and kind of try something new? So there will be a little bit of a learning curve as you figure out your bestseller, but once you do and you find it, even if the bestseller means you sold 14 of them when what might have been a bestseller for somebody else, they sold 50. Maybe your bestseller was selling 7. I mean, it could be whatever is your best. Don't focus in on other people's data. Don't focus in on what you hear from other people. I give you my data just to give you perspective, but I will also say that I've had shows where I've only made $100 and I've sat there for 6 hours. I always consider the benefits of an event, not so much what didn't work for me. So just focus in on what to do next and lean into what you learned from that experience and from what you heard your customers say. And hopefully they're saying all nice things. We had another video a little while back where we talked about some of the not so nice things that people can say. I just want you to smile and let those comments go in and out of your system. I'm leaning into what customers, when you hear customers say, oh my gosh, I love this, or I really would love it if I could find one that has like a gopher on it. That was just an example. Bestsellers really fund experimentation. Focus in on what you can do to help drive your future success and your ability to be more creative and do what you want later. Your best-selling product might not be the most artistic thing you've ever created, but it could be the thing that gives you freedom to keep creating. Remember that, and I urge you to lean into that when you can. Please let me know if there are any other things that you would like to learn that I could be of help with. With that in mind, I'm gonna say goodbye for now. I have more desk sitters to complete and more things to clean up in my craft room. I look forward to seeing you next time.